Dear students, today we are starting a series of lectures about physiology. In our today's lecture, we will be studying physiology, introduction to cell, homeostasis, and extracellular fluid. But first of all, physiology. What is physiology and why we study physiology? Physiology is basically the study of normal functions of living beings. Normal functions of living beings. For example, the normal function of heart in human body, normal function of brain in human body, normal function of kidneys in human body. Similarly, when we study viruses, bacteria, plants or animals, and we study how their bodies are functioning, it also comes under the domain of physiology. As we see that life varies from minute viruses to large mammals and plants. Therefore, physiology can be divided into a lot of branches like viral physiology, bacterial physiology, human physiology. All these branches can be further subdivided into other branches. For example, human physiology can be further divided into physiology of the renal system, nervous system, physiology of the cardiovascular system, physiology of the endocrine system. Similarly, viral physiology can be further divided into sub-branches. Bacterial physiology can be further divided into sub-branches. Then why we study physiology? Why we study physiology? And the answer to this question is very simple: to establish or to explain the physical and chemical factors. To explain the physical and chemical factors that are responsible for the origin, development and progression of life. That are responsible for origin, progression and development of life. Let's take an example. We are alive, and we are alive due to a lot of processes, physiological processes that are going on inside our bodies. Our heart is beating, our brain is functioning, our stomach is functioning, our liver, pancreas, spleen, they all are functioning and they are coordinating with each other to keep us alive. But how are all these organs functioning, and how are all these organs coordinating with each other? We explain all these questions in physiology. So let's start with human physiology. human physiology. Why we study human physiology? Simply that in we try to explain the specific characteristics and mechanisms of human body that make it a living being. By characteristics and mechanism, we can explain that we are alive because we eat food, we drink water and fluids, we take rest, we search for shelter. All these phenomena are occurring most of the time automatically without our prior knowledge. There are some things that are in the control of human beings or other living beings, but most of the functions that are going inside the body, they are not in our knowledge. For example, our heart is beating without our knowledge, and we do not have much control over our heart activity. Similarly, our brain is functioning, our liver, spleen, pancreas and intestine, all of these are functioning without our prior knowledge, and interestingly, all of them are coordinating with each other in a very friendly environment. But how are these organs functioning? What makes these organs, and how they are keeping us alive? To answer all these questions, we will start from the scratch, and that is cell. Cell. What is cell? Cell is the basic structural and functional unit of living beings. Structural and functional unit of living beings. We know that human body or any living body, it is made of cell. But what actually a cell is? Cell is the basic or the smallest unit from which the organs and the systems are made. Let's draw a typical cell. A cell will look like this. For example, it will have a central nucleus, will have some supporting structures outside that will connect it with the other cells in the neighborhood. These are small connective tissues, vessels, lymph nodes, lymph vessels, neurons, etc. etc. The cells, when they are combined with each other through intercellular supporting structure, they make an organ. Here, for example, they make this triangular structure known as liver. Some other places the cell combines to make another structure. And that's the heart. Same goes for kidneys and brain. All are made of cells that are connected with each other, and they make an organ. The organs then are connected through different systems with each other, and they make a system. And the system, all the systems, they are connected with each other and they make a living being, a human being, uh, an animal, a plant, or whatever. So, how the cells are kept alive, how they are functioning, how they are utilizing the nutrients, how are they releasing the waste products, and how all the systems are coordinating with each other. It all these questions can be explained by us homeostasis. But before going towards homeostasis, it's important to remember that there are about 100 trillion cells in the human body. 100 trillion cells. Each type of cell or each group of cells has their own characteristic structures and function. For example, cells in the liver have has their own structure and their own functions. Cells in the heart has their own structure and their own functions. Same goes for the cells in the kidneys and cells in the brain. While cells in the liver will give it a triangular shape and a function of detoxifying the um toxics, cells in the heart will have longitudinal structure and will help in contractility, while cells in kidney will be filtering the fluid and will remove the waste products and absorb the nutrients. Similarly, cells in brain will are specialized in transmitting impulses. There are about 100 trillion cells, and there are a lot of groups in these 100 trillion cells, but the biggest group is that of red blood cells. That makes around 25 trillion cells. And these red blood cells, they are the largest single type of cells in the human body, the most abundant single type of cells. We know that there are a lot of different types of cells in the human body. For example, cells in the liver, cells in the kidneys, brain, heart. They are all different in shapes and functions, but there are certain similarities between them. And for example, all of them release energy. They release energy by reacting oxygen with the nutrients. Similarly, they deliver end products into its surrounding fluid. Deliver end products into surrounding. And the mechanism of releasing energy, mechanism of releasing energy is almost the same in all the cells. Is they have all the 100 trillion cells have some similarities, they also have a lot of differences, and we will study the similarities and the differences in detail as we study the different chapters. But at the moment, let's study homeostasis, that how the cells and the extracellular fluid, it is kept at a in same condition or in similar circumstances to provide optimal conditions for the functioning of human body. So what is homeostasis? Homeostasis. It is derived from two words. Homeo means same, while stasis, it means standing. So homeostasis is defined as maintenance of nearly constant conditions. Maintenance of nearly constant conditions. Condition in the internal environment. In the internal environment. We know that all these organs of human body, for example, liver, kidney, pancreas, they are made of different types of cells and they have different types of functions, but they are all contributing and coordinating. They are coordinating with each other to maintain nearly constant conditions inside the internal environment or the extracellular fluid in the human body, so that all the processes can be executed smoothly. Some of the examples there of those conditions which are kept in nearly constant conditions are pH and temperature. The pH of human body is about 7.4, and the body is trying to keep a pH between 7.35 to 7.45. It is a very narrow range. It is a very narrow range, and believe me, a slight change above 7.4 and below 7.3 can even cause a sudden death of the human body. Similarly, temperature of human body is kept at 37.5 degrees centigrade. If the temperature moves above 37.5 or it goes below 37, we are feeling sick and we cannot even perform our daily tasks. Similarly, the another example of homeostasis is availability of enough oxygen and nutrients to cells, water and electrolyte imbalance. You should know that the body cannot keep constant conditions, but it is trying to keep nearly constant conditions in the internal environment. And for keeping the conditions nearly constant, all the organs, they are coordinating with each other. If they do not coordinate with each other, for example, the kidneys are functioning without the help or without coordination with the liver or brain, or a pancreas is functioning without coordinating with the liver, then the human body or any living body cannot survive. For the survival of living beings, it's very important that all those the organs that are making the systems, they should coordinate. And the first and very important thing that is keeping that is in which they are coordinating and which is uniting them is the extracellular fluid or the internal environment, which is also known as milieu interior. If the human body fails to keep the internal environment constant or homeostatic failure occurs, we call it homeostatic imbalance. Homeostatic imbalance. Homeostatic imbalance is nothing but start of a lot of diseases and disorders in the human body. If it is not stopped, it will lead to a lot of disorders. For example, diabetes mellitus, or tuberculosis, any sort of infections, because the body become weaker, and any type of pathogen can attack on the body, or metabolic diseases like gout, diabetes mellitus, diabetes insipidus, chronic kidney failure, chronic liver failure, pancreatic failure, all respiratory failure. Each and every type of disorder has some starting point, and that starting point is homeostatic imbalance. Homeostatic imbalance normally can be caused by a lot of factors, but prominent are dehydration, sleeplessness, stress. Each and every factor can lead to homeostatic imbalance, and which can lead to a lot of diseases and disorders. But to avoid the diseases and disorders from occurring, the body is trying to maintain homeostasis and to keep the internal environment nearly constant. How the body is trying to keep the internal environment at nearly constant? It keeps the extracellular fluid. The extracellular fluid, or the internal environment, at a constant conditions. We studied that each and every organ of the human body is made of cells. All cells are connected with some supporting structures to other cells, and all the cells with the supporting structures combine to make organs. But how the cells are alive in these organs? How are they kept alive? For keeping them alive, human body has a lot of fluids. To be honest, human body, up to 60% of human body is made of fluids. Up to 60% of human body is made of fluids. Out of this 60% mostly it's water and electrolytes. Out of this 60%, around two-third is present inside the cells. Two-third is present inside the cells, and one-third is present outside the cells. Two-third inside and one-third outside the cells. There is a lot of difference, or there are a lot of differences between the extracellular fluid and the intracellular fluid. But the type of nutrients that are present inside the cells and the type of nutrients that are present outside the cells or in the extracellular fluid, that are kept nearly constant, so that all the cells can have similar environment, and they should be functioning in the same environment and should be kept alive. Similarly, all the same cells in other organs are kept alive, because the extracellular fluids in that environment is also the same which is in the other organs. So this is also a uniting or unifying thing, which unifies or unites all the cell, a quality which is same in all the cells, that they are kept in similar extracellular fluid. Extracellular fluid is normally present outside the cells. This green color will be representing extracellular fluid. This fluid is not constant, but rather it is all the time in movement. How is it moving or in motion? It is in motion because every organ has blood supply. The arteries bring the oxygenated blood while the veins carry the deoxygenated blood. Similarly, every organ has lymphatics as well as nervous supply. We are considering or taking the liver as an example, and it is representing all the other organs in the human body as well. The blood vessels, the arteries, they carry the oxygenated blood inside the organs, while the veins, they carry the deoxygenated blood or the waste material outside the organs. These vessels, when they come inside any organ, they have small pores. From these small pores, the fluid portion of the blood, it goes outside. And the nutrients which are more in the blood, they will go into the extracellular fluid, while the waste products which are more in concentration outside, they will come into the blood vessels and they will be taken away. In this way, the extracellular fluid is in motion all the time and it is kept in nearly constant conditions all the time. But what are the some main differences between the concentration of the extracellular fluid and intracellular fluids? Suppose this is a cell and the inside represents the intracellular fluid, while the outside is extracellular fluid. Intracellular fluid, it's mostly rich in nutrients like ions like potassium, magnesium and phosphate. While the extracellular fluid, it has a lot of nutrients and ions like sodium, chloride, bicarb, amino acids, glucose, fatty acids. How there is a difference, or how the difference between the concentration of extracellular fluid and the intracellular fluid is maintained. It's a very big topic and we will discuss it in the upcoming lectures. For today, we will summarize what we studied, and in the next lecture we will continue our topic from here. So today we studied what is physiology, and we briefly introduced cell, homeostasis and extracellular fluid. Physiology is nothing but the study of normal functions of the living beings. Cell is the basic structural and functional unit of living being because it gives structure as well as functions to any living being. Homeostasis is the maintenance of nearly constant conditions inside a living being. Nearly constant conditions inside a living being. And extracellular fluid or the internal environment of living beings is the combination of all those factors which is keeping all the cells alive and which is keeping us alive to do all the basic and normal functions of life. For today, this is the end of the lecture, and in the next lecture we will be studying positive and negative feedback mechanisms.